Hello and welcome back to the Podcasting Problem Solver. I'm your host, Leah Bryant, podcast producer and certified podcast growth coach for entrepreneurs who want their podcasts to do something for their business, not just collect downloads. And you're listening to another Thursday Quick Win, which are those short tactical episodes to help you podcast smarter without burnout. And today we are going to bust 3 editing myths that are wasting way too much of your time. And yes, they're keeping you stuck and slowing you down. Editing is where so many podcasters fall into that perfection trap because editing, quite honestly, can feel like a black hole. 1 minute, you're trimming a pause, and the next thing you know, 2 hours have passed and you're questioning all your life choices. Am I right? Been there, done that. The thing is, a lot of that stress, well, it comes from misinformation or the pressure to make your podcast sound quote unquote perfect. So let's clear that up with these 3 common editing myths and what matters instead. All right, myth number 1. You have to cut out every filler word. Nope, you don't. You know why? Because you're a human, not a robot. A few ums or likes, totally fine. I mean, there's other crutch words, right? We have lots of crutch word, right? Like those things, they're totally fine. And while it is smart to cut out some of them, especially if they're distracting or repetitive, you do not, let me repeat that, you do not need to strip them all out. Because when you cut every single filler word out, it makes your delivery sound extremely polished and robotic. And honestly, it's not natural. Our brains don't work that way. Your goal is to sound like a real person who knows what they're talking about, not a news anchor reading a teleprompter. So make those edits where it helps clarity, but leave room for your personality. Myth number 2, you need fancy software to get that pro sound. Let me tell you, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me if they needed Adobe Audition or Hindenburg to sound quote unquote legit, I'd have a vacation fund. Because the truth is, it's not about the software. It's about how you record. That's right. It's about before you even hit record. USB, dynamic mic, doesn't even have to be fancy. Record in a quiet space, wearing your headphones, and speaking at a steady pace. You are 90% of the way there. Now, because this is my job and I do it every day, I do use Hindenburg to edit my audio. But I want you to keep something in mind. The tech should support your process and not overwhelm it, okay? Myth number 3, longer edits equal better episodes. Editing for hours and hours and hours doesn't automatically make your episode more impactful. In fact, the longer you spend editing, the more likely you are going to second guess everything. Ask me how I know. If a solo episode takes 20 minutes to record, it should not take you 3 hours to edit. I mean, unless there's some major issues going on. And if there are major issues going on, we should figure that out before we hit record the next time. But instead, I want you to focus on a repeatable workflow. Trim the intro and outro, remove your obvious stumbles or long pauses, and lightly clean up your background noise. Some room tone is important though. And that's it. The goal isn't to sound perfect, it's to sound clear, focused, and aligned with your brand. So what I want you to do is to build a repeatable workflow and use light editing to keep things flowing. And here's your permission slip. You don't have to edit yourself into burnout. Let go of all these myths and start trusting your voice and your process. And remember, what actually matters is clear content, clean, consistent audio, and a confident message. We want to let your content shine, and don't let editing become your bottleneck. If you want to see the exact editing process I use or other tips and tricks that I share, including tools, timelines, and what I don't waste time on, you will find all these things in my newsletter. I share all kinds of great things. The link is below. Go sign up. Would love to have you over there. And remember, editing should support your message, not slow you down. Simplify your process and get back to what matters, okay? Until next time, keep showing up with purpose, keep sharing your not too perfectly edited story, and keep it seamless. And we'll see you next week.